On a warm Monday evening, we welcome you to Moody Park here in Ewing Township for some ACBL baseball. As the South Jersey Kings welcome the New York Phenoms here tonight. We welcome you alongside Corey Miller here with you. As Chris Polimi faces the right-hander Michael Costello, the pitcher for the Kings, to begin this one. Second pitch is popped up to second base. We're making the call, and the catch is Ryan Frontera. 2 pitches and 1 out. Begin the outing for Costello. The rest of the defense behind Costello, left to right, Charvalho, Provost, and Hartman. That's left to right. Along the infield, Jaros, Sestowicki, Frontera, and Teneski. And Andrew Lombardi does the catching for Michael Costello. First pitch here to Joseph Manella, way inside, and it's 1-0. Hit him, came in so much, it actually hit him. And a 1-out base runner for the Phenoms.
Number 74, shortstop Ryan Fassinelli.
So here's Fassinelli, the shortstop. 1 on and 1 out after the hit by pitch. And that pitch hitting Fassinelli. So 2 straight pitches, 2 straight hit by pitches, and 2 base runners for the Phenoms.
Number 22, first baseman AJ Vigliotti.
Not the ideal start for Costello, who's making his 3rd appearance of the summer. He's pitched 5 total innings. This is his first start. Able to relocate the strike zone, and it's 0-1. Costello, rising sophomore at Millersville University from Media, Pennsylvania. Getting the start for this Kings team, which enters 12-8. Overall, 44 points. Second in the Wolf Division, 1 behind the leader Trenton Generals. And they have won 12 straight, the hottest team in the ACBL, off of a sweep of the Jersey Stallions. 0-2 pitch. A grounder foul down the third baseline. Vigliotti waits on deck, then Joseph Kokoza, the second baseman, Jeremy Diaz, the left fielder, Anthony Marcillo, the catcher, hits 7th, Vito DeMonte, the right fielder, hits 8th, and the center fielder, Jack Boyle, rounds things out for the Phenoms here tonight. This Phenom squad entering at 8-10-1, 36 points in the Wolf Division. So trailing the Kings as we begin play tonight. Again, the Kings second in the Wolf Division. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Nice job by Costello to record the strikeout of Vigliotti. And now there's 2 away for Kokoza.
Number 19, second baseman Joe Kokoza.
Kokoza getting the start at second base as the runner takes off for third. The throw will come down to second, and it is high. Both runners advance safely. So 2 stolen bases, and now there's 2 runners in scoring position for Kokoza. Manella, the lead runner, was off and running with the delivery. And then Fassinelli was a little late on his jump, and that's why the throw came down to second. As that grounder's hit foul, and it's 0-2. But nonetheless, both runners advancing safely. Again, both reaching on hit by pitches with 1 away. Now 2 away, runners on second and third. It'll be an 0-2 to Kokoza. Check swing, and they're going to say he went around. No appeal. The home plate umpire making the call, so the side is retired. Good job by Costello to wiggle out of trouble. Strands the 2 hitters that were hit by a pitch. After the end of the top of the first, it's the Phenom 0 and the Kings coming to bat. Ryan Frontera will lead things off for the Kings in the bottom half of the first after a scoreless top half of the inning against the Phenoms. Timothy Manuelian on the mound for the Phenoms. His first pitch is dribbled weakly foul, and it's 0-1 on Frontera. Frontera leading off and playing second base here tonight. 0-1 pitch to him. Misses outside, and it's 1-1. Frontera also hit leadoff in the Kings' Game 4 victory over the Stallions the other night when they won 18-2. Hit leadoff, finished 3 for 5, drove in 4 runs, scored 3, and walked once. Raised his average to 385 on the season. A homer and 11 RBIs for the incoming freshman at Seton Hall University. Slow start initially, but has gotten a lot of playing time at second base with the absence of Reed Lapicus over the past few weeks. Waits on a 2-2 pitch from Manuelian and takes low in the dirt for ball 3. Charavallo next to hit for the Kings. The left fielder waits on deck. Right now it's Frontera waiting on a 3-2 pitch. Grounding it weakly foul down the first baseline. Charavallo, then Ryan Jaros, the third baseman. Zane Teneski at first. Hits cleanup. Sestowicki, the shortstop, hits behind him at fifth. Eric Hartman, the right fielder, at sixth. Batting seventh is the catcher, Andrew Lombardi. Aiden Quinn, the designated hitter, hits eighth. And rounding things out is the center fielder, Tyler Provost. The Kings starting 9 here this evening. Again, it's a 3-2 to Frontera. Swinging on 3-2 and grounding a foul ball down the third baseline, just barely. These two teams beginning play a few minutes early here at Moody Park with a possible chance of thunderstorms later in the evening. Trying to at least play 5 innings, which would officially designate it as a complete game. Another 3-2 pitch to Frontera on the way. That one is grounded fair to third base and off of the glove of the third baseman Manella into left field. Hard hit by Frontera. He'll reach it first, but still an error on Manella. And the leadoff runner is on for the Kings in the bottom half of the first.
Number 4, left fielder Michael Charavallo.
As it's Charavallo next to hit for the Kings. Manuelian kicks and deals to him inside, and it's 1-0. We've been accustomed to seeing Charavallo hitting leadoff the past several games, past few weeks for the Kings. Ever since Lapicus went down and ever since Charavallo really started swinging a hot bat. He's hitting .400 on the season, 18 hits and 45 at-bats. But he's hit for some power as well. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, and you have to also look at the 16 steals for Charavallo. Worth noting that Frontera at first is yet to steal a base this summer, but given that, Charavallo moved to the second spot, and Frontera, with a little less pop this summer, moved up to the leadoff spot, as it's now 1-2 on Charavallo. He appeared as a pinch hitter in the 18-2 win over the Stallions the other night. Registered a pinch hit RBI, 1 for 1 in total. Again, at .400 now on the summer. Playing left field tonight, the 1-2 pitch to him is in the dirt, and it's 2-2. Get a look at the rest of the Phenoms defense. It's Diaz, Boyle, DeMonte in the outfield left to right. Manella, Fasanelli, Cocoza, Vigliotti, third to first. And Marcillo does the catching for Manuelian. After the leadoff runner reached on an error, has a 2-2 count on Mike Charavallo. That pitch is grounded to the right side. It'll get through for a base hit. Frontera moves up to second. It's a base hit for Mike Charavallo, and the Kings have their 2 leadoff runners on to begin the bottom half of the first.
Number 38, third baseman Ryan Jaros.
And this is the perfect situation for the Kings, getting their leadoff runners on for this guy, Ryan Jaros, who has been among the hottest hitters in the ACBL the past few weeks. First pitch to him is in the dirt, gets away from Marcillo, and both runners advance 90 feet. Now two in scoring position for Jaros, who is now hitting .413 on the summer. A guy who initially was only hitting 100 through his first 10 at-bats now leads the Kings in batting. 1-0 pitch, 1-1. A guy who hit his first homer of the summer last week. He's got a homer, 11 RBIs, walked 7 times, struck out just 4. But 7 extra base hits in addition to the homer, 4 doubles, 3 triples. Huge part of middle of the order for the Kings right now. Goes after the 1-1, and now it's 1-2 as he cuts and misses. The incoming freshman at Georgia Tech. Part of this entire Kings lineup that has been on a torrid stretch the past number of games, especially the last 4 in the series sweep against the Stallions. Waits on a 1-2 pitch, swings and grounds it fair down the third base line into left field. Scoring easily is Frontera. Charvalho around third. He will score. It's a 2 RBI single for Ryan Jaros, and the Kings grab a 2-0 lead.
Number 44, first baseman, Zane Teneski.
Well, this Kings offense picking up right where it left off against the Stallions in the 4-game sweep as Teneski steps into the box. They clobbered the Stallions in each of the games they faced them. The first 13-0, 13-3 the second, 15-1 in Game 3, and 18-2 most recently. None of those games were really close at any point. This Kings offense coming alive and wasting no time. Teneski rips that one into left center field. It's down for a base hit. Misplaying that is Boyle. Moving up to third is Jaros. He's going to be waved around as he tries to score, and Ryan Jaros will come all the way around from first to score the 3rd run of the inning. A single and then an error on Boyle in center field, allowing not only Jaros to score, but Teneski to reach second, and it's 3-0 Kings.
Number 14, shortstop, Justin Sestawicki.
Here's Sestawicki, already the 2nd error of the inning for the Phenoms, who have yet to retire an out. Could be one here, as Marcillo makes the catch in foul ground. So finally, Manuelian records his first out of the inning. 1 away and 1 on at second.
Number 3, right fielder, Eric.
Now for Eric Hartman, getting the start in right field. Manuelian is appearing in just his 2nd game of the summer as that pitch is dunked into right field, and it gets down for a base hit. Teneski around third. He will score without a throw. It's an RBI single for Eric Hartman. Make it 4-0 Kings. Well, the bats continue to produce for the Kings. 4-0. There's still only 1 away, and here's Lombardi, the catcher. Right now, it doesn't appear like it matters who the Kings' opponent is. They're going to produce at the plate no matter what. Double-digit runs in their past 4 games. No fewer than 13 against the Stallions. And every part of this order is going to produce. Hartman's gotten it going with the bat lately. And here is Lombardi, who smokes that one foul down the left field line. So you're saying it's Manila's 2nd appearance of the season. His first was a relief outing against the Generals on June 20th. Pitched 2 innings in relief, allowed 3 hits, 2 walks, and an earned run, so making his first start of the summer. 0-2 pitch to Lombardi. Popped foul. Manuelian is the incoming freshman at Montclair State University. 6'2", 180 pounds from Staten Island, New York. A rough first inning for him so far. There's only one away. Allowed 4 hits, but also 2 errors behind him. Each of the Kings' first 4 hitters crossing the plate. Here's Lombardi behind in the count, 0-2. And again, he stays alive. Lombardi hitting .267. In 12 games, he is a homer, 4 RBIs. Has been the Kings' primary catcher. Will Wander we've seen a good amount as well. And now it's 1-2 as he takes low and away. Hartman leads off of first. He just drove in Teneski with an RBI single into right field. And he'll dive back safely. Aiden Quinn waits on deck, the DH. And then Tyler Provost, as the Kings might have an opportunity to bat around here in only the bottom half of the first inning. Already lead 4-0. A pop-up into shallow right field. Kokoza goes out, and he'll make the catch for out number 2.
Number 9, the DH.
So here is the designated hitter, Aiden Quinn, now with 1 on and 2 away in the last of the first. Quinn, the relatively new addition this summer, along with Jackson Kramer, has been great for the Generals since joining the squad a few weeks ago. Goes after the first pitch, rolls it up the middle, gets through into center field for a base hit. From first to third goes Eric Hartman. A base hit for Quinn continues the inning. Now runners on the corners for Tyler Provost. Make it 5 hits for the Kings this inning. And now it's Provost, the center fielder, who still has struggled overall in the season, but his average has gotten a boost, as has almost the entirety of this Kings roster the past few weeks as part of their 12-game win streak. Provost now hitting .205, a double, 5 RBIs, 4 walks. Making more contact, trying to improve on that 16 strikeouts in his stat line. Waits on a 1-0 pitch, now 2-0. And it's the leadoff man, Frontera, who waits on deck, who began this whole inning by reaching on an error by the third baseman, Manella. 2 errors for the Phenoms here in the bottom of the first. The other on Boyle, the center fielder. 2-0 pitch, and now make it 2-1. And the Phenoms do not have a ton of pitchers, a point we touched on when they matched up against the Generals here at Moody Park. So a rough first inning could spell trouble for them the rest of the game. Manuelian delivers to Provost, who fouls it away. It's 2-2. Whose offense is just firing on all cylinders right now. South Jersey Kings lead 4-0. 2-2 with 2 away and 2 on. On the outside corner for a called strike 3. Manuelian punches out Provost to end the first, but not before the Kings offense continues to explode. They explode for 4 runs in the first on 5 hits and 2 errors. Already in command early, they lead 4-0 as we head to the top of the second.
65, Jeremy Diaz.
Jeremy Diaz begins the top half of the second with his team now down 4-0 after a four spot by the Kings in the bottom half of the first. Michael Costello back to work here in the top half of the second. Faced a little bit of trouble in the top of the first after hitting back-to-back hitters, but then stranded them after 2 straight strikeouts. Diaz, the left fielder, comes in hitting .438, 7 hits and 16 at-bats. He's tallied a double, driven in 5, and walked 3 times. A weak comebacker to the mound, yielding to Jaros' Costello, who will have no play to first, as reaching easily is Jeremy Diaz, and it's an infield single to begin the second. Interesting decision by Costello to yield to Jaros. Looked like that might have been the smart move, as Jaros had better positioning. Didn't have to backhand and then turn, but either way, it would have been a tough play to nab the speedy Diaz. And now here's Marcillo, the catcher, with the leadoff runner on in the second, and he gets hit by a pitch. Little look out to the mound as Costello's now hit his 3rd hitter of the game. We're not even through. We don't even have an out here in the second.
Number 28, right fielder, Vito Diamante.
The stat line for Costello this summer, again, 2 games. This is his first start. He's pitched 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 6 walks, and 5 strikeouts. 4 earned runs, an ERA of 7.20. Again, the rising sophomore at Millersville. 1-0, and now it's 1-1. Costello did not appear in any games for Millersville this past spring. One of several Millersville players on this Kings roster. Finding the strike zone here, it's now 1-2 on Diamante. Hitting .269 this summer. And grounding this one back to the mound. Costello fields, he's going to fire to second, and it's behind Sestawicki into center field. Rounding third and scoring is Jeremy Diaz. Moving up to third is Marcillo. Reaching at first is Diamante. A run is in for the Phenoms. Make it 4-1 here in the second.
Number 24, center fielder, Jack Boyle.
And still no one away for the 9-hitter Jack Boyle. A costly mistake from Costello, who got to that comebacker somewhat quickly. And Sestawicki still had a long way to go to get to the second base bag. And by the time he even got there, the throw to him was so far behind him that he couldn't really get it with his glove. Smarter play might have been just getting the out at first. Again, and what would have been a tough turn either way, but the throw to second, just not a good one. So a single, a hit by pitch, and an error, and it's 4-1 just like that. Still no one out in the top of the second, as it's 2-2 now to Jack Boyle, the center fielder. Rising sophomore at Amherst, who comes in hitting .211, 4 hits and 19 at-bats. He is a homer, 3 RBIs, and he's also scored 6 runs. Corner infielders for the Kings are in as that pitch is grounded fair down the third baseline for a base hit. Scoring from third is Marcillo. Trying to get up to third is Diamante. The throw there gets away from Jaros. Everyone's safe as Boyle moves up to second. Another runner in for the Phenoms, and it's now 4-2.
Number 72, the DH, Chris Molamini.
So 2 runners in scoring position for the Phenoms as they look to tie this game up at 4 here in the second. And it's back to the top of the order in Polimi. Kings have still yet to record an out as the corner infielders step in. That's a situation where if Jaros is playing back, he has a better shot at that ball. But still hit out of his reach down the third baseline regardless. And the Kings right now shooting themselves in the foot after a 4-0 start. An error and a hit by pitch coming back to bite them. 0-2 to Polimi, up high, 1-2. And Costello has been a little wild coming into the game. He's walked 6 batters in just 5 innings. As that pitch is grounded to short, Sestawicki gloves it. A run will score as the play is made to first. So 6-3 on the putout, the first out of the inning, but now it's a 1-run game.
Number 52, third baseman Joe Manella.
Here's Manella. Oddly enough, Costello hasn't walked anyone so far here tonight, but he's hit 3 batters after just an inning and 1/3 of work. And already the Kings have action in their bullpen. Dylan Terwilliger just starting to get loose out there. Good pitch there, and it's 1-1. The count to Joseph Manila, who was the first batter to be hit by a pitch in the top of the first, stole a bag. Costello was able to strand the base runners on second and third in the top of the first, but here 3 runners are in. Taking off for third is the runner Boyle. The throw down heads into left field, and that's going to allow Boyle to trot home and score the tying run. How about this? We have 2 errors in the inning, another hit by pitch, a single, and then an RBI ground out, and the game is now tied up at 4. A walk to Manella, so another runner is on for the Phenoms. Mound visit here for the Kings. Looks like they'll just talk things over and maybe buy Terwilliger some more time in the bullpen. Again, he just started to get loose. And this is something that's not ideal for them. The last thing you want to do when you go up by 4 early is give those runs back. And the other thing with the Kings, as fantastic as their offense was and is over this 12-game winning streak, the pitching has been solid as well, especially against the Stallions. Across those 4 games, they only allowed 6 runs to the Stallions. The offense stole the show, but the pitching was there as well. Fasanelli was also hit by a pitch in the top of the first. Runner on for him with 1 away. Costello fires in, but it doesn't catch the zone, and it's 1-0. (2-0) to Fasanelli. That walk to Manella was the first free pass issued by Costello, but remember, he's hit 3 batters. An inning in which the Phenoms have only recorded 2 hits, but have tallied 4 runs, thanks in part to the hit by pitch and 2 errors. That pitch is grounded to third, where Jaros makes the play, fires to second for 1, back to first, scooped by Taneski for the double play. Beautiful job on all ends, gets the Kings out of the inning and Costello out of any more trouble, but not before the Phenoms plate 4 runs to tie the game up at 4 after 2 hits and 2 errors. We're tied up at 4 as we head to the bottom half of the second.
for the Kings, second baseman, number 37.
Leadoff man for the Kings is the leadoff man here in the bottom half of the second, after the Kings sent 9 to the plate in the bottom half of the first inning. Scored 4 runs, and you thought that would have held up in the top of the second, but that was not the case, as poor fielding from both of these teams yielding some runs, and we're tied up at 4 as Frontera lifts a fly ball into right center field. Boyle and DeMonte converging, and it's Boyle, the center fielder, making the grab. So a good start for Manuelian on the mound as he retires Frontera.
Number 4, left fielder, Michael Charavala.
And here is Charavallo. Recorded a base hit, scored a run in the bottom of the first, and here's another base hit on a line drive into left field. Charavallo continues to rake, and he's got a one-out base hit. Runner on for Ryan Jaros.
Number 38, third baseman.
It doesn't seem like it matters where Charavallo's hitting. As we said, moved to second in the order behind Frontera here tonight, but just continues to hit. Really, ever since Lapicus went down, he's been one of the best hitters in the league. Off and running on the first pitch to Jaros, but it's fouled away. That's the other thing. He is just so aggressive on the base pass, looking for his 17th stolen base of the summer. And here's Jaros, as we said, a guy who has been even hotter as of late. The Kings' leader in average now at .413. 2 RBI single for him back in the first. Charavallo stays put, and Jaros skies this one into shallow center field. Boyle sprinting in, and no one's going to be able to make the catch. The throw comes into second, where Charavallo is going to be thrown out. Doesn't agree with the call, as Fasinelli, the shortstop, was eventually the one to at least try and make the catch.
Number 44, first baseman.
A tough play over the shoulder, but then Charavallo gets thrown out at second, so a tough break, but now there's 2 away. Jaros is now on at first. And he'll dive back safely as it's Zane Teneski. Teneski, an RBI single his last time up. Got to second on an error by the center fielder Doyle. After Jaros reached on the fielder's choice, it's 0-1 to Teneski, who's really started to get in the groove of things with the bat, now hitting over 300. And this was a guy hitting in the low 200s for the early portion of the summer. Jaros takes off for second. That pitch is blooped foul, so he'll have to return. It's 0-2 on Teneski. Teneski's hit in the middle of the order all summer long, and hasn't necessarily gotten the power going, but it's increased over the past few games. He's now at 3 doubles, a homer, and driven in 10. The walks and on-base part of his game have been there all summer. He's walked 19 times, which leads the team easily. But starting to tally more and more base hits, hitting over 300 at 311. Behind in the count, 0-2, and he takes for ball 1. A guy that only hit .266 his senior campaign of high school. Popped 3 home runs. But again, the cleanup man for the Kings throughout the summer. Jaros on ahead of him. Stays put, and Teneski tops that one to third, making the backhanded play. A throw to first, dug out by Vigliotti. So Manella has an error saved as a nice play by his first baseman, Vigliotti. Gets the Phenoms out of the bottom of the second unscathed. The Kings get a base hit, but can't bring anyone home, so we're still tied up at 4 as we get set for inning number 3.
25, Dylan Terwilliger. Leading off for the Phenoms.
Dylan Terwilliger takes over on the mound as the Kings turn to the bullpen here in the top of the third. First hitter for the Phenoms is A.J. Vigliotti, who struck out back in the first. Terwilliger replacing Michael Costello, who lasted just 2 innings. The final line on him, he went 2 innings, allowed 2 hits, allowed 4 runs, 2 of them were earned. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and 3 hit by pitches, that is. Keep in mind, one of the errors was on Costello. But a strong replacement in Dylan Terwilliger, appearing in his 4th game of the summer. In his 3 previous outings, Terwilliger's thrown 4 1/3 innings pitched, allowed 3 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an earned run. A 2.07 ERA for the incoming freshman, rising sophomore that is, at University of Massachusetts from Medford, New Jersey, as it's 2-1 on Vigliotti. If you go by ERA, Terwilliger's been the Kings' best pitcher. 2.07 tied for first with Alex Keene. That pitch is lined up the middle and into center field for a leadoff base hit. Having a difficult time playing it is Provost, but staying at first is Vigliotti, so he's on with a leadoff single. So Terwilliger, again, technically a team leader in ERA, but also keep in mind that he's only thrown 4 1/3 innings pitched coming into the game here tonight, and forced into action fairly early on as Costello lasts just 2 innings after throwing 35 pitches. Here's Kokoza, the second baseman, who struck out swinging in the first after the leadoff single. Kokoza has tallied a lot of at-bats here this summer. He's one of the Phenoms' most tenured college players. As he grounds this one to third, Jaros makes the play. They get the one at second, back to first in time. A 5-4-3 double play ended the top of the second. And here in the third, it registers 2 outs. Jaros to Frontera to Taneski. Second double play in as many innings for the Kings. And now just like that, there's 2 away with no one on for Jeremy Diaz. Diaz reached on an infield single, which really began things that spiraled out of control for Costello in the second. Diaz scored the first run of the game for the Phenoms. The speedy outfielder hacks and misses at that one. It's 1-1. And he's been one of their better hitters at .438. 7 hits and 16 at-bats. He's mixed in 5 RBI there as well. Again, we said this during the Generals Phenoms series a little while ago. But the thing about this Phenoms rosters that they have so many hitters is that there's not a ton of guys who've gotten consistent at-bats every single game. So the at-bats split between a lot of players, and that's why the averages may be inflated or deflated in many cases. As I was saying, Kokoza is one of the few Phenoms hitters who's actually gotten the lion's share of at-bats. Him and Doyle have gotten a lot. But a lot of players still in the teens in terms of at-bats. 1-2 pitch to Diaz. Well outside, and it's 2-2. And the Phenoms enter 8-10-1, 36 points in the Wolf division. Two from Terwilliger, misses outside. Full count. Anthony Marcillo waits on deck. Full count pitch with 2 away. Misses outside. So Terwilliger walks Diaz. And there's a runner on with 2 away for the Phenoms. Marcillo next to hit. Marcillo was hit by a pitch, third and final batter hit by a pitch by Costello. Later scored a run. Marcillo's hitting just 150. 3 hits and 20 at-bats. He's driven in 2. And has also walked twice compared with 9 strikeouts. Look at scores across the league. The Generals currently hold a 2-0 lead on the Pilots. That game in the bottom half of the 8th, a 5 p.m. start. As Diaz is off and running, the pitch is inside, and it won't even draw a throw from Lombardi. So Diaz, having that bag stolen, moves into scoring position as the Phenoms look for their first lead of the night. Here's the pitch to Marcillo. That one catches his own. It's 1-1. Again, the Generals looking to remain in first place with the win tonight and continue to fend off the Kings, who are just a point behind them, having won 12 straight games. A weak throw back to the second base bag. Diaz on at second after a 2-out walk, stole second base, and now it's a 1-1 to Anthony Marcillo. Good looking breaking pitch, and now it's 1-2. Game in which the Generals led 4-0 early on after the first inning, but a 4-run top of the second tied things up and knocked Costello out of the game early. Terwilliger's first inning of relief. As Diaz takes off for third, the pitch is in there for a called strike 3. Terwilliger, a strong first inning, sets down the Phenoms, posts a 0, keeps the game tied up at 4. Kings looking to regain the lead. They come to bat in the bottom half of the 3rd.
For the Kings, shortstop, number 14, Justin Sestowicki.
Justin Sestowicki begins the bottom half of the 3rd. After a pop out in the first, goes after the first pitch and sends it into deep center field. Moving back is Boyle, and he'll make the catch on the run. Sestowicki getting a hold of that first pitch. A hard fly ball to begin the bottom of the 3rd. Nice job by Boyle to track it down. Loud out number 1 in the Kings half of the inning. And now here is Eric Hartman, one of the Kings hitters above 300 now after a recent hot streak. Hartman at 304, 7 hits and 23 at-bats. More limited time. Again, missed the beginning part of the season. He was continuing his spring season with Ryder. But he's also driven in 8, walked 10 times, struck out just twice. And that all-around skill has been really great for the Generals, as Hartman has come up as a RBI threat. Hitting all the way down at 6. A guy would be higher in many other lineups, but considering not only depth but how hot the Kings lineup is, relegated hitting 6 at least right now. 1-2 pitch, doesn't catch the zone, it's 2-2. And you can't really move him to the top of the order either because there's plenty of talented players there right now. Hartman an RBI single back in the first inning. Waits on that pitch and sees the count move full. Lombardi, the catcher, waits on deck. As Hartman will wait on a full count pitch. Rising sophomore at Ryder. Takes outside and does a nice job to work his 11th free pass of the campaign. And he's on with one away.
Number 6, catcher Andrew Lombardi.
Here's the catcher Lombardi, who popped to the second baseman Kokoza his first time up in the first inning. Manuelian back to work after a scoreless second inning, and it's 0-1 on Lombardi. Lombardi was one of 4 Kings named to the ACBL All-Star Game, taking place Wednesday at Adelphi University. It was Lombardi, Ryan Jaros, Anthony Anzaldi, and Mike Charavallo after Lombardi just saw the 50th pitch from Manuelian come in. Big swing and a miss, snap throw to first, not in time as Hartman dives back safely, and it's 1-2 on Lombardi. Lombardi and Jaros, it sounds like, are the 2 of the 4 players who are going to accept. All players can, but looks like Anzaldi and Charavallo are going to decline the invitation to play in the game. So Jaros and Lombardi after the holiday tomorrow will both be taking place in that All-Star game. That pitch is lined right to Manella at third base. Tough break for Lombardi as Hartman able to get back to first. And there's 2 away in the last of the third. Both of the Kings' outs here this inning have been hard hit. The fly out by Sestawicki to Boyle in center. And then that line shot to third. And here's Aiden Quinn, who has continued his hot hitting with a base hit in the first. Again, playing in just 7 games prior to this one this summer. But he's tallied 9 hits in his first 22 at-bats since joining the Generals, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, and he's hitting .409. Again, he's another guy hitting 8th, situation where just so much talent ahead of him that's producing as well. A grounder to the second baseman, Kokoza, waits for a few bounces and then fires across to nab Quinn. So the Kings strand a 1-out walk and come up empty here in the third, which means we're still tied up at 4, heading ahead to the top of the fourth.
There were no errors and 1 left. After Phenoms, right fielder, number 28, Vito Damonte.
Terwilliger back to work here in the top of the fourth. After a scoreless third, here's Vito Damonte, who reached on an air and scored a run in the second. Swinging and missing at that pitch. And it is 0-1. Damonte at 269, 7 hits and 26 at-bats. He's also driven in a run, coming into action here tonight. This game tied up at 4. The Generals struck first for 4 in the first, and then a 4 spot by the Phenoms in the second. Again, the Generals trying to make it 13 in a row. Correction, make it 12 in a row. Kings again capping off that 4-game sweep against the Stallions. And winning each of those games in dominating fashion, as we said. 1-2 pitch to Damonte, cut on a miss, strike 3. And he's set down to begin the 4th inning. Jack Boyle next to hit. Tallied an RBI single later, scored a run in the second. But the question is, with the Kings, after sweeping the Stallions, do the results of these games change as they get into a tougher portion of the schedule? Playing a better Phenom squad that sits just 2 games below 500. And the Stallions have really been struggling even before they started playing the Kings. So we'll see as the schedule changes, are the Kings able to maintain this hot streak, which has carried them from the bottom of the Wolf division to 1 spot away from the top, as it is quickly 3-0 on Jack Boyle. And the Kings playing the Pilots most recently before the Stallions, a team that's also struggled as of late. Here's a 3-0 pitch to Jack Boyle. And that's inside a 4-pitch walk. Sets up a 1-out base runner for the top of the order in Chris Palemi. But the way the Kings have been playing, it also doesn't seem like it matters who their opponent is. And not just beating the Stallions, but doing so in dominant fashion. And they were scoring runs even before then, not at the same clip as they did against the Stallions, but they were putting up plenty of runs against the Pilots as well. The pitching defense wasn't quite as good as it was in the Stallions series, but it was still pretty good to sweep the Pilots, that is, and even going back to the Osprey series before that, where the win streak started. But if you look at the bottom 3 teams in the Wolf division, it is the Pilots, Stallions, and Osprey, the 3 teams that the Kings have defeated as part of this 11-game win streak. Boyle takes off for second as that pitch is flied into left field. Charvallo hustling back, and did he make that play? He made that catch. What a play by Charvallo, as hustling all the way back to first is Boyle. Charvallo was moving all around in left field. It never really looked like he had a beat on that ball, and at the last second turn around and make the catch on his backhand. And that could have been trouble with Boyle off and running, but he has to move all the way back to first. And now here's Manella with 1 on and 2 away. Boyle starts then stops. Keep in mind that we've also seen Charvallo at every single outfield position this summer. More consistently in center and right, but getting the start in left field tonight. With Hartman accustomed to playing right field, and then Provost in center. Jorvallo can play all of them, but again, we've more regularly seen him in either center or right field, making a nice catch there for out number 2 in the top of the 4th. No 1 pitch, swing and a miss, 0-2 on Manella. He was hit by a pitch and then walked in the second. Terwilliger looking to post his second shutout inning since coming in relief of Michael Costello. 0-2 with 2 away and Boyle running. Doesn't matter though, as that pitch is in there for a called strike 3. Manella set down looking to retire the side. No runs and no hits for the Phenoms. They strand the 1-out walk. Things are still tied up at 4 after 3.5 innings at Moody Park.
Number 26, Tyler Provost.
Tyler Provost begins the bottom of the 4th after a strikeout in his first appearance in the 1st, facing Manueling, who's still out there now for his 4th inning of work. Provost had one of his best games of the season the other night. In the 18-2 win against the Stallions, was 2 for 4. Also walked, drove in a run, and scored 3 runs, raising that average up above 200. Heading the count 2-0 and taps it foul. You always wonder that, is this trend of successful pitching, hitting, and defense hold up for the Kings? Most notably the offense, because that's been far and away the best part of this Kings team, best component during the winning streak. But as we said, all 3 facets have been at least solid over the course of the 11 games. If the first 3 innings are indication, the defense maybe not, even though it's just 3 innings, as the count goes full to Provost. Kings have made 2 errors already, which has brought in 2 Phenoms runs. 3-2 to Provost. In there for a called strike 3. Provost thought it was high. Instead, he's headed back to the bench for the first out in the bottom half of the 4th.
Number 37, second baseman Ryan Frontera.
But this Kings offense also looking to scratch the scoreboards for the first time since the 1st inning. Top of the order, and Ryan Frontera takes a called strike 1. 3 for 5, drove in 4 runs and walked once. At the top of the order, playing second base in the final game against the Stallions. 0 for 2 here tonight, but he reached on an errant, scored a run in the 1st. Flew out to center his last time, 1-1 to him. That pitch is ripped down the third base line, but foul. Even if the Kings can just maintain some semblance of the pitching, hitting, and defense they've had on this win streak, they should be pretty successful throughout the rest of the season and down the stretch, especially the offense, which has just been unstoppable over the win streak, but especially the last 4 games. And we said throughout some of the telecasts last week how we knew it was always a possibility with the talent the Kings had in the lineup, but finally they've begun putting it together. Some of their key hitters have turned it around after early season struggles. Second straight batter facing a 3-2 count, this time with 1 away, as it's Frontera. Laying off of that pitch in the dirt and drawing ball 4. So he's on with 1 away, and it's Charvalho who is 2 for 2 with 2 singles and a run stepping into the box. And as we said, Charvalho, one of the 4 Kings All-Stars, Kings players named to the All-Star game. No surprise after the summer he has been having. Goes after the first pitch and clobbers that into left field. Hustling back is Diaz. He's looking up. It's off the wall. Frontera into third. He's going to be waved around. The throw to the plate is in time. Not in time. The ball was dropped by Marcillo. Rounding third and scoring is Charvalho. 2 runs in for the Kings, and they take a 6-4 lead. Looked like actually the throw from, I believe, the shortstop Fasanelli was in front of the catcher Marcillo, so he'd never had the ball. The throw was in plenty of time to get Frontera. As Jaros takes a called strike 1. So the throw was in time, but not accurate enough for Marcillo. As Jaros gets under one, flies it into center field, where Boyle makes the catch. And there are 2 away now for Taneski. But the problem was not only was the throw low and prevent Marcillo from applying the tag to Frontera, but it skipped away from him, which allowed Charvalho to come all the way around and score. Originally a double on a deep fly ball into left. So Charvalho's 3 for 3 as Taneski flips one into center field, and that dunks down for a base hit. Taneski tallies his 2nd hit of the night, and he continues the inning for Justin Sestawicki.
Number 14, shortstop Justin Sestawicki.
So the air's coming back to bite the Phenoms here in the bottom of the 4th. The air charged the shortstop Fasanelli on the throw, and it's 6-4. Kings getting the lead back after 2 in the 4th. Still a runner on for Sestawicki, who has popped out and tallied a deep fly out to the center fielder Boyle on his last trip to the plate. 1-0 to Sestawicki is sent foul. After a bit of a cold stretch, Sestawicki has been swinging a much better bat thanks to a very solid series against the Stallions. It's actually hitting below 200, but now he's hitting 250. 13 hits and 52 at-bats. One of the most prominent Kings hitters just in terms of his playing time this season. The snap throw to first gets Taneski. Taneski, a huge leadoff for the first base bag. The catcher Marcillo recognizing it, and Vigliotti applies the tag. A tough way to end the inning for the Kings, but not before they plate 2 runs. The walk by Frontera, the double by Charvalho, and then an error means the Kings retake the lead. It's 6-4 with the top of the 5th coming up. All good. Here is the 3-0 hitter Brian Fasanelli as we kick off the top of the 5th inning. His third plate appearance of the night, as it's now 6-4 Kings after 2 runs coming in the 4th. Fasanelli hit by a pitch, then grounded into a double play his last time up. Facing Terwilliger for the first time, now in his 3rd inning of relief. 1-1 on him. Score update for you of the Generals Pilots game. The Generals holding on to a 2-0 win. First win in 5 games. Jake DeClerico, the big game at the dish for the Generals. As that 1-1 pitch is inside. Tally 2 hits, including double. Walked once and scored both of the runs. Again, a 2-0 Generals win. They were, as we said, had lost 4 straight and were playing 2-7-1 baseball through their last 10 games. So a big win over the Pilots. And that assures that they maintain sole possession of first place of the Wolf Division, even if the Kings win tonight. Here comes a 3-1 to Fasanelli. Way inside. That got a piece of him first time Terwilliger has hit a batter. Now the 4th Phenoms hitter to get hit by a pitch. And the leadoff runner is on for New York as they trail by 2 with Vigliotti digging up to the plate. So the pitching coming up big for the Generals in that 2-0 win. And as we said, the pitching for the Kings has been solid, but there was kind of joking between some of the coaches, players here today, that if the Kings and the Generals, the 2 teams that play here at Moody Park that we cover, were to combine, you would love to have the Generals pitching and the Kings hitters, in a sense to kind of make a super team. As that pitch is flied down the first base line out of play, as Teneski will give it a look. And that is something the Kings are looking for a bit more of here down the stretch, is that pitching depth. They have some guys who can start and some high-quality relievers, but again, it's always good to have more of it, and that's something the Generals have plenty of. Their lineup has struggled as of late, only scoring 2 runs again tonight. As Fasanelli continues to start then stop. As Terwilliger enters his 3rd inning, Dylan Parsons is starting to get loose for the Kings. The Kings at this point, as taking strike 2 is Vigliotti, know that they have plenty of quality hitters, so many that guys who are producing aren't going to get starts every night, and that's part of the whole deal with Collegiate Baseball Summer League, is getting everyone at bats. As it'll be a 2-2 to Vigliotti, but first they check in with Fasanelli at first. But right now it's about finding the right pitchers and seeing how much depth you can add on down the stretch. 2-2 pitch. A weak looper into right center field. That's down for a base hit. Provost makes the play to cut it off. A big turn around second. Fasanelli trying to dive back unsuccessfully. They nab him at second as Sestawicki flips to Frontera. Heads up fielding by the middle infielders.
Number 19, second baseman, Joe.
Fasanelli was originally going to head to third, but as soon as he slammed on the brakes, it was too late as he was already halfway between the 2 bags. So Vigliotti has his second base hit of the game, but now there's one away as Fasanelli is thrown out. The appeal to the field, and they're going to say that Kokoza didn't go. He was struck out and grounded into a double play. Here's Terwilliger's 1-0. Vigliotti takes off for second. The throw down is not in time. Phenoms are an aggressive team on the base pass. Even with one of their bigger players in Vigliotti. We saw him actually steal a base a few weeks ago against the Generals. The Phenoms coming into the game today have swiped 43 bags on the season. A grounder to short where Sestawicki ranges across, makes the play, and a nice throw to first to nab Kokoza. Vigliotti moves up to third, but now they're 2 away.
Number 65, left fielder Jeremy Diaz.
And like we said, with the at-bats and the hits, the stolen bases are spread across a lot of different players for the Phenoms. A good sign that they've spread across the lineup, but with all these players getting a variety of playing time, there's not really one player that's going to run away with the stolen base totals. Speaking of stolen bases and speed, here's Diaz, who stole a base in the third after walking. He also singled an infield single in the first. An 0-1 to him by Terwilliger, and now make it 0-2. Terwilliger has been great in relief. This would be his third shutout inning if he can retire Diaz, replacing Costello. Much needed length out of the bullpen. He's provided that. He's been one of their best pitchers so far this summer. That one is in there for a called strike 3. Great job by Terwilliger through 3 shutout innings, preserving the Kings' 6-4 lead. They come back to the plate in the bottom half of the 5th.
The Kings 6, the Phenoms.
I never said that. Here's Sestawicki ripping a line shot into center field to begin the bottom half of the 5th. Coming up to bat after Tedeschi was picked off to end the 4th. Another well-struck ball by Sestawicki, but another out. Again on a fly ball to center. And here's Eric Hartman, who's reached base twice, a single and a walk. We talked about in the top half of the inning how the Kings would love a little bit more pitching depth, maybe something to get them over the hump. As that pitch is smoked into right field, down in front of DeMonte for a base hit. Hartman, the big turn, he's going to go for second. The throw there is not in time. Eric Hartman catching Vito DeMonte sleeping in right field. It turns a single into a double. A single, a walk, and now a double for the Kings right fielder. And he's in scoring position for Lombardi. Up and down this Kings order, they are producing. Lombardi is 0 for 2. The one thing, though, that the Kings have mentioned is that even though they would love some more pitching in terms of just success and everything, the amount of pitchers that they just have on their roster has been advantageous, because a lot of squads like this Phenom squad have at times struggled because they have so few pitchers on their roster. You're so reliant on your starters to give you length no matter what struggles they may run into, because you don't have a ton of other options not only available in that game but on their roster in general. And the Kings really haven't had that problem, because just like the Generals, they have a lot of pitchers to use, so it's a dilemma they don't have to worry about. Lombardi taking outside to make it 1-2. And it is something that will serve them well throughout the month and then down the stretch. Playing here in the fifth inning, 6-4 Kings lead. Corey Miller here with you as Lombardi cuts and misses. He's retired via the strikeout for out number 2 here in the last of the fifth.
Number 9, the DH, Aiden Quinn.
Aiden Quinn's 1 for 2, a single and a ground out in his first 2 plate appearances. What's been amazing about Quinn as he waits on an 0-0 pitch is that despite being a late addition to this Kings roster, that he's really showed no signs of rust through the first 7 games he has played this season. Hitting over 400, 409 entering the game. Snap throw to second, taking off for third is Hartman. The throw there is high, and getting down to third is Hartman. A big lead at second, and a wise decision to just head to third, as he probably would have been out at second, but nonetheless, he's now 90 feet away for Aiden Quinn. So Hartman's speed getting him to second, turning a single into a double, and now he's at third after swiping the bag. 1-1 to Aiden Quinn. Goes after that pitch, lifts a flying ball into left center. Diaz has a beat on it and makes the catch. So after the hustle by Hartman to get to third, the Kings strand him there. A quick 5th inning. Both of these squads posting zeros, which means we head to the top of the 6th with the score still 6-4 South Jersey. New pitcher for the Kings to begin the top of the sixth, as replacing Terwilliger is Dylan Parsons, and a pinch hitter for the Phenoms is Lucas Chai, the catcher pitch hitting for Anthony Marcillo, who'll likely stay behind the plate in the field in the bottom half of the inning. Facing Parsons, rising sophomore at McDaniel College from Hamilton, New Jersey. 1-1 pitch, called strike two. Parsons now in his fourth game. He's pitched 6 innings, allowed 9 hits, 4 walks, struck out 6, and 3 earned runs. Comes out to a 4.5 ERA for the right-hander. But we have not seen Parsons in some time. His last appearance was all the way back on June 19th against the Metros. So not really a role at all as part of this Kings win streak. 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Good start for Parsons out of the bullpen as he strikes out Cy. In that game against the Metros, allowed 2 hits, a walk, and an earned run. Across his 3 outings, he's pitched 3, 2, and 1 innings. In that order. So 3 innings his first appearance, then 2, and then 1. A breaking pitch in there to DeMonte. Again, you're going to notice with Parsons at 6'3", that kind of funky delivery. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but locates and fools hitters. As it's 1-1 on DeMonte, who struck out his last time up. And the Kings are at a point in the season now, especially as they started to play better. A check swing rolled foul down the first baseline, where they're evaluating talent, especially their pitchers, in terms of who are they going to turn to in the playoffs and down the stretch on the mound. In the field as well, but again, especially on the mound. 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 strikeouts begin the outing for Parsons. There's 2 away in the 6th. The other thing that the Kings have to factor in is that not all of the players may be available for the playoffs if they rejoin their college rosters or have any other conflicts at the end of the month. So it's crucial to get a look at as many pitchers as possible as Boyle takes a look at that first pitch outside. Knowing who you're not going to have on the roster at the time, get a look at all your guys and figure out who you're going to want to throw in the playoffs, especially in those big situations. 2-0 to the 9th hitter, Jack Boyle, who has walked and singled here tonight. And it's just amazing, as it's now 3-0 on Boyle, that the Kings are in a position, especially given the way they started at 1-8, that we'd even be talking about them evaluating people for a postseason run. They were at one point dead last in the Wolf division and at no point looked like a playoff team. That has completely changed. A bouncer to second where Frontera charges and completes the out at first. 3 up and 3 down for Parsons out of the bullpen. Good job by these Kings relievers to preserve the lead at 6-4, moving ahead to the last of the 6th.
Leading all four.
The Phenoms turn to the bullpen for the first time here in the sixth as Jake Confrey takes over on the mound. After Manuelian, despite giving up 6 runs, not all earned as there were 3 errors on the part of the Phenoms so far tonight, did a good job to at least get his squad through 5, only trailing by 2 again with some rough defense behind him. And that's what they need from their starters with a limited pitching staff. Confrey's a guy who's appeared on the mound both as a starter and as a reliever. He's been effective as both as he deals here to Provost. And it's 3-0. Provost looking to reach base after 2 strikeouts in the first and the fourth. Top of the order due up next. 3-0 to Provost. In there, called strike 1. Confrey, 4 games, 2 starts, 13 2/3 innings pitched, 10 hits, 3 walks, 16 strikeouts, 4 earned runs, a 2.63 ERA. The count now even as Provost comes up empty on that hack. Trying to avoid the hat trick of 3 strikeouts. 3-2 pitch on the way. And he stays alive. That 3-2 pitch is grounded to third. Manella gloves it and throws in time to first. His staying down on the bag was Vigliotti. So Provost is retired on the ground out to kick off the last of the 6th. And Kings lead 6-4. Here at Moody Park, Corey Miller here with you as they look to make it 12 straight wins and carry this win streak over to a 4th team. Again, topping the Osprey Pilots. And most recently, the Stallions, as that one is down into right center field. Frontera trying to make it into a double. The throw into second's going to be well late, and Ryan Frontera has a 1-out extra base hit.
Number 4, left fielder Michael Charles.
So Frontera has his first hit, but is on base for the 3rd time tonight. And speaking of people been on base 3 times tonight, here's Charvallo, who singled twice, and then last time up in the 4th inning, cracked a double just shy of the left field fence, but then came all the way around to score after a poor throw by the shortstop Fessinelli, scoring his 2nd run of the game, and coming all the way around. A double, then an error. It also plated Frontera ahead of him. It's 2-0 on him. Incoming freshman at Bucknell is 3 for 3 tonight, already hitting 400 coming into the game tonight. 2-0 pitch is in there for a called strike 1. The 2-1 pitch is skied into center field. Boyle jogs in, makes the catch. Frontera faking the tag. He'll head back to second. Just drawing the throw as now there's 2 away with a runner in scoring position for Ryan Jaros.
Number 38, third baseman Ryan Jaros.
The Kings have really credited Jaros in turning around his hitting and hitting like one of the top players in the league and in the area as part of this turnaround. Again, at the top of the class, graded as the top prospect in New Jersey for his age group. And the fact that he's really turned it on with the bat. The Kings, obviously, up and down the order have started to hit the bat. But the fact that Jaros now is a legit middle-of-the-order guy, all-around player, has been perhaps one of the single biggest reasons that the offense is producing at the level it has. That one squeaks beneath Chai into the game defensively after pinch hitting for Marcillo in the top of the inning. Frontera moves to third, 90 feet away for Jaros to head in the count 2-0. Again, Jaros headed to the All-Star game on Wednesday. After a really hot past few weeks, 2-0 pitch to him. He's lined into center field, an RBI base hit for the Kings, third baseman. Frontera scores from third. Another run in for South Jersey, make it 7-4.
Number 44, first baseman, Zane Teneski.
And that's what the Kings have really relied on, getting their top of the order guys on, and then the middle part and even the bottom part of this order driving them in. That's what they were missing early on from guys like Jaros and now Teneski, is those RBIs, but they're getting that here. As play is paused as Manila is retying his shoe at third. Teneski is 2 for 3, 2 singles and a ground out. A little bloop shot into center his last time up. An RBI single back in the first. Jaros takes off for second. The pitch way outside, and Jaros is way safe as he steals the second base bag. Again, an all-around player with plenty of speed, even at his stature, so he's in scoring position. Again, as the Kings face Jake Confrey in his first inning of work. There's a base hit into right field. Jaros will turn and head for the plate. The throw there is not going to be in time as Ryan Jaros scores on the RBI single by Zane Teneski. Make it 8-4 Kings here in the sixth. Great piece of hitting by Zane Teneski, going with that pitch the other way, not trying to do too much. Again, even if he's not hitting extra base hits and for power, can really be a run producer the way he is as a hitter. We've seen him hit the ball to all parts of the outfield as it's 0-1 on Sestawicki. He was hit the ball hard, but still looking for his first hit of the night. Hitting fifth consistently the past few games. Bumped down from third as he hit earlier in the season. And good to see him raise that average up after a good series against the Stallions. 0 for 3 tonight, but has been hitting well as of late. Jaros and Teneski, the RBI singles, and Sestawicki looking for his first hit of the night. Has played really good defense this season and shows up just about every game. 1-2 pitch, another one to the backstop. And that's the other thing with the Kings is that a lot of teams, we've seen the Phenoms do it once tonight, is that they substitute pinch hit players throughout these 9-inning games, but the Kings most of the time stick with their same original 9 hitters. In there for a called strike 3, Sestawicki down looking to end the sixth, but not before the Kings add 2 more on. 3 hits for the Kings, and 2 come across the score as Jaros and Teneski tally RBI singles. Kings in good shape as we head to the 7th. They lead 8-4. Top of the order, and the designated hitter, Polimi, stepping up to the box. Leadoff man for the Phenoms. facing the reliever Parsons after a 1-2-3 top of the 6th. In for his second inning of work. 8-4 Kings lead as we kick off play in the 7th. Here at Moody Park, Corey Miller here with you. The offense has continued to come through for the Kings. And we'll see if they get all 9 in, with reports of thunderstorms coming later here tonight. All they needed to do for an official game, is it's 3-0 now, make it 3-1, was get through 5 innings for an official game. Game time temperature originally was 87 degrees, felt like 93, so a warm night, no doubt. And we'll see if they can finish all 9. Already game could be in the books. Is that pitch, breaking ball, getting a piece of Polemi. Make it 5 batters who've been hit by a pitch by Kings pitching. And that means now the leadoff runner is on for Manella.
Number 52, third baseman Joe Manella.
So first base runner allowed by Parsons in his second inning of work now. Manella has been hit by a pitch, walked, and struck out. As that pitch is clobbered into left field, Charavello backing up and makes the catch. Manella getting a good piece of that one, but Charavello made the catch with relative ease. Didn't chase him back too much, got a good read on it. One pitch and now an out to Manella. Fasanelli, the shortstop. Breaking pitch called strike 1. This Phenoms team at 8-10-1, 36 points in the Wolf division. That pitch inside. This Phenom squad has had no doubt an up and down season at 8-10-1. And they've really had mixed results against both the teams at the top and bottom of the division. Not consistent success against even the bottom teams, but they've been able to string together some wins against some of the top teams in the division as well. A team with a good amount of talent, but again, a lot of hitters, limited pitchers. Polemi stays put at first, and now it's 2-2 on 3-hitter Fasanelli. That pitch is grounded foul. Interesting thing about the Phenoms field manager Matt Santamura is that back in 2019, took a Mid-Island Little League team all the way to Williamsport. Again, the manager for the Phenom squad, who trail 8-4, and now it's a full count on Fasanelli. The full count pitch is outside, and Fasanelli draws a free pass. So now runners on first and second with 1 away. Kings do have action in their bullpen. This is the second inning of work for Parsons, who replaced Terwilliger after 3 shutout innings of relief of Costello, who lasted just 2 innings and gave up all 4 runs the Phenoms have scored here tonight. Vigliotti is 2 for 3. Make it 3 for 4 with the base hit into left field. The stop sign applied to the lead runner Polemi, but now the bases are loaded with only 1 away for Joseph Kokoza.
Number 19, second baseman Joe Kokoza.
Kokoza's 0 for 3, strikeout, grounded into a double play, and then grounded out. Mound visit here for the Kings. No pitching change here. Again, we saw this earlier in the game to buy time for Terwilliger out of the pen when Costello was still pitching. So they talk things over. We'll see how they align defensively with the bases loaded and a prime opportunity for the Phenoms to get right back in this game. Again, for as we said earlier, never got to finish the point, but Kokoza is one of their most tenured college players heading into his senior campaign at Barrow College. But he has struggled immensely this summer at 195, still getting reps in the heart of their order. 0-0 pitch. 0-1 as he fouls it straight back. But he hit 449 as a junior at Barrow this past season. That throwback to Parsons was wild and trying to scurry home his Palemi, but it was a foul ball, so the ball is dead, so he has to return to third. And it's 0-1 the count on Kokoza. Corner infielders are in for the Kings. Jaros is about even with the third base bag. Taneski is just behind the infield dirt as it's 0-2 on Kokoza. Sestowicki back at short. Same thing can be said for Frontera at second. Bases loaded, one away. 0-2 the count on Kokoza, 8-4 Kings. In on the hands and fouled out of play. Phenoms looking to interrupt this Kings win streak, halted at 11. Kings looking to win their 12th straight and keep pace with the Generals, who, as we mentioned, beat the Pilots 2-0 earlier tonight. And remain in second place here in the Wolf division. They would stay a point behind the Generals. 0-2 again, check swing, but it's in there for a called strike three. Big strikeout for Parsons. Kokoza down looking now. There's two away for Diaz.
Left fielder Jeremy Diaz.
Diaz 1 for 2. Singled, walked, struck out. Bases remain loaded now with two away. Diaz lifts the first pitch into shallow right field. Hartman will give way to Provost coming over to end the top of the sixth. The Phenoms load the bases, but then a strikeout and a flyout. Parsons leaves them loaded. We move ahead to the bottom of the seventh, still 8-4, South Jersey.
The Kings 8, the Phenoms 4. For the Kings, right fielder, number 3, Eric Hartman.
The Phenoms go to the bullpen again here in the last of the seventh as Christian Gerisi comes in relief for Confrey, who pitched just one inning, interesting enough, out of the bullpen. Eric Hartman greets them with a bouncer to second, which Kokoza takes care of for out number 1 here in the bottom half of the 7th. First time Hartman has been retired. 1 pitch, 1 out for Gerisi, who is appearing in his 5th game on the mound. He's 1-1 in 4 games, all out of the bullpen. 7 2/3 innings pitched, struck out 10, allowed 3 hits, 3 walks, that is 9 hits, pitched to a 3.52 ERA, and fires in strike 1 to Lombardi. He last threw the 29th against the Metros, took the loss in a 5-4 loss against Bergen. Allowed 3 runs, none of which were earned, though. Faced 11 total batters, allowed 3 hits, walked 1, and struck out 3. The guy who has also appeared in 2 at-bats as a hitter for the Phenoms this summer. 0-2 pitch. Interesting to see that Confrey only lasted 1 inning. Especially, as we've told you, not a ton of pitching depth for the Phenoms. Theoretically, though, including the 7th, they only have 2 more innings to fill. They do have another arm warming up in the bullpen. Again, at least 2 more innings to fill since they're down by 4 runs. That pitch is a high chopper to third. Manella charges, throws across the diamond in time to nail Lombardi. 2 up, 2 down for the Kings here in the 7th.
Number 9, the DH, Aiden Quinn.
Here is Quinn, who is 1 for 3. We briefly talked about in his last at-bat how he's really shown no signs of rust despite being a late addition to the squad this summer. Immediately swinging the bat from the get-go. We've also seen Jackson Kramer, who joined the squad after a season at Wake Forest, has shown a little signs of rust, especially with the bat, since joining the Kings squad. But you also keep in mind that Kramer came in a little while later after Quinn, that is. Again, 2 big additions to the lineup, though. Kramer, who can play both ways, will pitch a few innings at a time and will hit in the lineup for the Kings. It's tough to find him a spot, though, the way everyone else is playing on the roster, the guys who've been tenured throughout the whole summer. 2-1 to Quinn. Low and inside, now 3-1. Tyler Provost waits on deck. That 3-1 delivery is in there, and now it's a 3-2 count. So Aiden Quinn with 2 away. Strong start for Greasy on the mound. The pitch to Quinn is flied into left center field. This sends both outfielders back, and eventually, though, it's going to be Diaz making a nice play on the run to retire Quinn and retire the side. 3 up, 3 down for Garisi out of the bullpen. Solid inning out in relief. Top of the 8th inning upcoming. Still 8-4 Kings. New inning brings a new pitcher for the Kings. It's Jared Greenzang. 6'3", 200-pound right-hander. Rising sophomore at Ryder. First appearance of the night in relief. And the first pitch to Lucas Chai, who appeared as a pinch hitter in the 6th. Replacing Marcelo behind the plate. Struck out swinging. Takes the ball outside. Greenzang's 4th appearance on the mound here tonight. First 3 games, 2 of them were starts. He's pitched 9 innings, struck out 10, allowed 12 walks, 4 hits, and the walks really have been the issue. ERA of 4.00. 2-0 is now 3-0 as a tie. Greenzang has allowed runs in each of his first 3 outings. The first 2 were starts where he threw 4 innings, allowed 2 runs in the first outing, and then 1 earned run in the second outing. And then an inning of relief in his last outing, the 20th, against the Pilots, in which he allowed an earned run and an inning of work. But as we just mentioned, the walks, not the hits, have been an issue for Greenzang. In fact, 3 of the 4 hits he allowed came in his first start of the season, just 1 since then. And he walked the leadoff batter Chai on 4 pitches, as now it's DeMonte. 12 walks coming into the game, compared with 10 strikeouts, so his stuff has been good. And when he's located, hitters have had a difficult time connecting with him. Or on him, I should say. A guy who appeared in 2 innings at Ryder this past spring. Looking for a flawless inning of relief as it's a ball inside. We've also seen Corey Williams, who is out there getting loose now for the Kings, could be the closer here tonight in a 4-run game. So likely just 1 inning for Greenzang. A grounder through the right side into right field. Chai will stay put at second. A base hit for the right fielder DeMonte. And the first 2 hitters are on for the Phenoms here in the 8th. Umpires getting together. Not sure what they were discussing, but situation remains the same with runners on first and second. No one out. Greenzang on the mound and Boyle up at the plate. Single, ground out, and a walk. Breaking pitch, and it's 0-1. And the Generals looking for win number 13 and 12 straight here this summer. We mentioned the points earlier. The way it works in the ACBL is that teams get 3 points for a win, 2 for a tie, 1 for a loss. Again, that's to incentivize them to make sure they get all their games in. As it's 0-2 to Jack Boyle, the 9-hole hitter. Stays alive after tapping it foul. And the Generals clinging to that 1-point lead. Keep in mind that they also have a tie to their name as well, so they got 2 points for that instead of 1 for a loss. And will remain in sole possession of first place after a 2-0 win against the Pilots tonight, as it is 1-2 on Boyle. With 2 on, no one out, and that one underneath Lombardi. Both runners advance and get into scoring position. And now the count is even on Boyle. A 4-run cushion for the Kings, but things could get a little more uncomfortable in a hurry depending upon what Boyle is able to do. Greenzang still has yet to record an out since taking over. Replaced Parsons, who threw 2 shutout innings. That pitch to the backstop. Coming to the plate is Chai. He will slide in safely. Back-to-back pitches. Wild. Bring in a run. It's 8-5. Another runner now 90 feet away. This is the last thing the Kings want to do. Yeah, DeMonte got on with the base hit, but a walk and then 2 wild pitches brings in a run. Boyle continues to battle at the plate. Again, it's locating for Greenzang, which has been the issue. And as we mentioned earlier, Kings evaluating and just figuring out what guys they want to use in the postseason. The umpire comes out from behind home plate to check the ball, it looks like. I guess looking to see if there was any kind of pine tar on it or anything. Because now Lombardi is walking into the Kings dugout. As he got there, Stokowski just handed him a gallon of water, it looked like, and now trotting down from the bullpen to, it looks like, replace Lombardi. Will be Connor Wood. So that means Williams has to briefly pause warming up, as Wood was down in the bullpen warming him up. Stokowski's now going to jog down to the bullpen and finish warming up Corey Williams, but Andrew Lombardi out of this game. It looked like he was just not feeling well, maybe dizzy, lightheaded, sick behind the plate, and maybe that's why the home plate umpire went out to the mound to at least give him a breather behind the plate. So now Connor Wood takes over catching duties from Lombardi. First substitution of position players for the Kings, not something they thought they would do. The count is 3-2. On Boyle, no one out. Corner infielders are in, and now we have time called behind home plate. Looks like a fly went into the eye of Boyle. Again, he's the hitter, the center fielder, 9-hole hitter, top of the order on deck for the Phenoms. Now down by just 3 after a run scored on the wild pitch. Corner infielders are in. Middle infielders sit back. 3-2 from Greenzang here to Boyle. That pitch is lined into left field for a base hit. Trotting home is DeMonte. It's a 2-run game here at Moody Park. A RBI single by Jack Boyle, and it is 8-6 now.
Number 72, the DH, Chris Polamini.
Greenzang is still yet to record an out. We kind of touched on it in the general series against the Pilots, but Boyle's hitting just .211, but he's put 4 really good at-bats together tonight, as that pitch is sprayed foul by Polimi. Hitting just .211. He started 24 games for Amherst this past spring, where he tallied 22 hits and 79 at-bats, but as a hitter hitting 9th in the order, he's really no easy out. He's been on base 3 times. He's now made it a 2-run game. He's driven in 2 runs, scored once. A weapon for the Phenoms at the bottom of their order, and he's played some solid center field tonight as well. Good job by Greenzang to get ahead on Polimi, who's in search of his first hit of the night. It's 0-2. Again, Greenzang looking for his first out of the inning, top of the 8th. Williams still getting loose in the pen. The plan for him was initially to only go 1 inning. But if Greenzang continues to struggle, we'll see how early Williams is forced into action. Here comes a 1-2. To 2-2. 2 pitches missing high. Again with Lombardi out of the game from behind the plate, replaced by Connor Wood. From 0-2 to 2-2, now 3-2. And the location problems continue for Greenzang.
I think Williams is ready. I'm watching. He's full out. Yeah, just don't
No one out here in inning number 8. 2 in for the Phenoms. Runner on first, 3-2 pitch. The runner goes. Doesn't matter though. The pitch is outside, and now it's first and second for the Phenoms. Wood will jog out to talk to Greenzang. A little surprised we haven't seen Williams yet. Williams is signaling to the Kings dugout that he's ready to come in. But they're going to stick with Greenzang on the mound.
Number 52, third baseman Joe Manella.
Who is still in search of his first out. He's walked 2 hitters and surrendered 2 base hits. 2 wild pitches mixed in there as well. It's 1-0 on Manella. Williams has been very good so far this summer, but not getting the call just yet. Again, the Kings evaluating guys they want to use down the stretch, and in the postseason, even a D1 guy like Greenzang, if they can't rely on him to get outs either on the mound as a starter or as a reliever, he's not going to make that list. Runner takes off for third. The pitch is high, and there will be no throw down.
Wake up down there.
Manella fell down, and Wood never really had a play on the runner at third. Again, just into the game as a defensive replacement. Pelimi stays at first. That is a big swing and miss from Manella, and it's 2-1. So Boyle's now at third after stealing the bag. The tying run is on at first. The go-ahead run is up at the plate with 2 already in for the Phenoms and still no one out here in inning number 8, 2-1. Skips in there. It's 3-1. Williams has made his way down from the bullpen, and he could very likely, if he comes in, inherit a bases loaded, no one out situation. A rough inning here for Greenzang. 3-1 now. That is in there. 3-2. Big pitch from Greenzang. Manella disagrees, but he is to come back, and it's a full count to the number 2 hitter in the Phenoms order. Hit by pitch, a walk, a strikeout, and a flyout for Manella. 3-2. No one out. And now the bases are loaded.
2 batters too late, guys. Fucking ridiculous. I'm paying you for this shit.
And it looks like at this point, the Kings will make a pitching change. The inning began with an 8-4 Kings lead. Greenzang came in relief. Allowed a walk, then a single, 2 wild pitches. Allowed a run to score, then an RBI single by Jack Boyle, followed by 2 more walks. Will load the bases for the 3-0 hoodie, Fancinelli. The Kings lead in danger as they turn to Corey Williams, taking over here in the 8th. We're in store for a good finish. Don't go anywhere here at Moody Park. We'll be back after a quick break. The Kings win streak in danger right now. Bases loaded, nobody out. Already 2 in for the Phenoms. Corey Williams replacing Greenzang, who never got an out. All the runners on are his responsibility. Good start for Williams, who has been nothing short of terrific the past 2 games he's pitched in. In total, this is his 4th appearance. His first 2 outings were starts. Last pitch against the Pilots on the 25th, an inning of relief. Rising sophomore at Millersville, 0-1. That pitch looked like it was there, and now it's 1-1. But Williams allowed 3 earned runs his first start against the Osprey, none since then. A 3.00 ERA in total. He's pitched 9 innings, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, 4 hits. Again, just the 3 earned runs, none since the 13th of June. The 1-1. Check swing, it goes to the backstop. Here comes the runner to the plate. Boyle scores. Both runners advance. The tying run is 90 feet away. The go-ahead run is in scoring position at second. And once again, a wild pitch forces in a run. Infield is in now for the Kings. This inning began at 8-4. It's 1-2. Williams deals. Make it 2-2. Interesting that the Kings continued to leave Greenzang in as he has really all summer struggled to find the strike zone. Now it's 3 earned runs charged to him. Again, the 2 runners on are his responsibility. And look at the lead that Manella has. He's halfway to third base with the infield in. That pitch is in the dirt, and it's 3-2. A tough situation for Corey Williams to inherit. The base is loaded, no one out. Fasanelli hitting third in the order. Waits on a 3-2 pitch from Williams with 2 runners in scoring position. Takes outside. Make that the 3rd straight walk. The 4th of the inning, and now there's nowhere to put anyone. Bases are loaded once again for the Phenoms' hottest hitter, in A.J. Vigliotti.
Number 22, first baseman, A.J. Vigliotti.
He's 3 for 4 tonight with 3 singles. He was hitting just .214 coming into the game. Corner infielders remain in for the Kings. The middle infielders halfway. Tying run on at third, no one out. Vigliotti. Hard hit foul ball to the backstop. Williams, a large physique at 6'4", 240 pounds on the mound. Rising sophomore at Millersville, where he made 5 appearances. 3 of them were starts. Allowed 12 earned runs. Again, a solid summer for him through 3 appearances thus far. His 4th outing has begun with a walk and a wild pitch, which forced in a run, but he's ahead 0-2 on Vigliotti. The guy you want on the mound right now in Corey Williams, considering how well he's pitched the last 2 outings, trying to preserve the now 1-run Kings lead. The 0-2 pitch, way high. As we've said earlier, Williams is a guy that Millersville coach believes could have gone D1, but kind of got lost on recruiters through the COVID process. But pitching at a top-tier D2 program in Millersville. Now it's a 1-2, and a foul ball from Vigliotti. And this is where the Kings need their pitching to come through. Flawless relief efforts from Terwilliger and Parsons after a rough start from Costello. But then Greenzang upending that streak. It's 8-7 here at Moody Park. Top of the 8th inning. Williams on 1-2 once again. A weak chopper to shortstop. Sestawicki can't make the play. Everyone is safe. A run comes in. We are tied up at 8.
Number 19, second baseman Joe Kokoza.
That ball was hit slow enough. Again, the infield was, the middle infielders were halfway anyways. So no shot at a play at the plate, as that was a chopper to short as Kokoza steps in. As that pitch is lined into center field in front of Provost for a base hit. 1 run will score. Moving up to third is Fasinelli as he had to hold up. And just like that, the Phenoms take a 9-8 lead. A 5-run 8th inning. And oh, by the way, there is still no one out.
Number 65, left fielder Jeremy Diaz.
Good time for Kokoza to get his first hit of the night if you're the Phenoms. Still the bases are loaded. And here is Diaz. 0-1. Back to the Sestawicki play. It would have been tough to turn, too, even though Vigliotti doesn't run all that well. And it looked like Sestawicki was kind of figuring out where he's going to throw that ball to, but never was able to glove it. And thinking the process probably complicated making the play. That ball hit just so slowly. Sestawicki's had a very solid defensive summer so far at short, but that a costly error. Bringing in a run now, 3 errors for the Kings, and then after the base hit, it's 9-8 Phenoms. That 0-2 pitch misses. It's 1-2 on Diaz. Chai, the hitter on deck, began this 8th inning with a leadoff walk. That was when Greenzang was still on the mound. So the Phenoms a batter away from batting around. Williams fires in a called strike 3 on the heater. And there is that elusive out number 1. Diaz set down. And now back to Chai with the bases still loaded with 1 away.
Number 2, catcher Lucas Chai.
When the Kings come to bat, whenever that may be, in the bottom half of the inning, they'll have 9-1-2 due up. As Chai takes a called strike 1. The question is, how much of a deficit will that lineup have to contend with? Right now, just a 1-run deficit, and the way the Kings have been swinging the bat, it's certainly doable. But the Phenoms are looking for more, and a strong possibility they could get more. Bases are loaded as Chai lays off of that one, and a good block by Connor Wood. We've already seen 3 wild pitches, 2 from Greenzang and then 1 from Corey Williams. That alone has brought in 2 Phenoms runners. That pitch is lined softly on a hop to second. They'll get one. It's no, it's the wild throw into left field. 1 run scores. Here comes Vigliotti to the plate. He scores as well. 2 more runs are in for the Phenoms. It's 11-8. Frontera fielding that ball on a hop at second. As maybe they look to turn a double play. And a much closer play at second. Probably just would have been easier to get the out at first. But even if they had gotten the out at second, on just a good throw, you're not going to allow 2 more runs to score. So now the second error of the inning. And it's 11-8. 7 runs here for the Phenoms. They only have 3 hits. The last 2 runners that scored there were charged to Williams. It's no longer just Greenzang's responsibilities. The infield is in here for the Kings. 0-2 the count on DeMonte, who comes up empty on that hack. And now there are 2 away.
Number 24.
As the Kings have simply imploded here in the top of the 8th inning. And then they will have 6 more outs to play with. First 3 in the 8th and then 3 in the 9th. But you never would have thought, given the way this game was going, that we'd even have to play a bottom of the 9th. And now that 11-game win streak is in serious jeopardy. Boyle stepping to the plate for the 2nd time this inning. Singled his last time. 2 on, 2 away, 0-1 pitch. Check swing. He went around. It's 0-2. A walk, a single, walk, 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 error, single, strikeout, and another error. Followed by most recently a strikeout to recap all the hitters at bat so far this inning for the Phenoms. 0-2, 2 away, and now 1-2. The question will always be, should Greenzang, should he have been pulled earlier? Williams inheriting a really tough situation with the bases loaded, no one out. Another pitch here to Boyle. Doesn't get the call, and now it's 2-2. Seven runs in here for the Phenoms, taking an 11-8 lead. It was 8-4 when we began this inning. Williams pitch. And that one missing inside. Looked like one of those last 2 maybe caught the zone. Instead, it's a full count to Boyle. Not an ideal situation. Williams likely pitching the 9th as well. Initially, that was the only plan for him to pitch the 9th, but he's going to have to get 6 outs after a very stressful inning, if indeed he comes back out there. Now a full count pitch to Boyle. He stays alive. The on-deck hitter is the leadoff man, Polimi. Once again, we'll do it on 3-2. With 2 away and 2 runners in scoring position. Williams kicks and deals. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Well, they're setting off fireworks here in Trenton deep behind the left field fence, and that's only fitting because we've seen plenty of fireworks from the Phenoms here in this inning. You could say from both squads. 7 runners come in to score, in large part to walks, a few errors, and the Phenoms come all the way back from 8-4 to take an 11-8 lead here at Moody Park. The Kings all of a sudden down to their final 6 outs. They need a big-time rally if they look to extend this win streak to 12. We'll be back in the bottom half of the 8th.
Tyler Provost.
This game was in good hands and comfortable hands for the Kings. Entering the top of the 8th inning, it was 8-4. All of a sudden, it's 11-8 Phenoms, with Provost leading off the bottom half of the 8th, with Garisi still out there for the Phenoms, who plated 7 runs in the 8th and have taken an 11-8 lead. 9-1-2 for the Kings. The good news is that even trailing by 3 with just 6 outs left to play with, is that this lineup and this offense has been the best of any team in the ACBL, especially as of late. In fact, if they do not score 2 runs tonight, and ultimately need 3 just to tie the game up, it would be their first game in 5 games that they have not scored double-digit runs. 4 straight games against the Stallions in the sweep where they've scored a minimum of 13 runs. And more times than not, 8 runs is going to win you a ball game. But they're going to need more than that if they look to defeat the Phenoms here tonight. 2-2 to Provost. In there for a called strike 3. Leadoff man set down, but it brings up the hitter at the top of the order in Ryan Frontera, who had a costly error in the top of the 8th on a fielder's choice as he looked to get a close out at second, threw the ball into left field. 2 errors in the top of the 8th, only adding to the Kings' problems as they walked in hitters, allowed a few hits, and 3 wild pitches mixed in. Frontera's reached base 3 times, an error in the first, a walk in the 4th, and then a double in the 6th. He scored all 3 times. Has been great at the top of the order recently. Ahead in the count 2-0 with 1 away. Big hack, and it's 2-1. If the Kings cannot come back, this would be just an awful way to snap a double-digit winning streak. Another hack, another miss, and it's 2-2. Trying to see if they have a late game rally in them. The 2-2 pitch is blooped into right field. Time for Kokoza to range over and make the catch for out number 2. So no one on and 2 away for Charavallo.
Number 4, left fielder Michael Charavallo.
Tough sledding for the Kings. Again, trying to limit the damage as much as possible in the top of the 8th. And the fact that the Phenoms added 2 more runs on after taking the lead is just huge against an offense that's been so hot, because a 3-run game, even with 6 outs, possibly doable, but a run game with the top of the order and then the heart of the order due up, that really feels doable for this Kings team. But just deflated after allowing 7 to cross the plate in the top half of the inning. There is action in the Kings bullpen. Initially, in a perfect world, Williams was going to inherit the 9th inning with at least a 4-run cushion, but Greenzang never recorded an out, and Williams was forced into action an inning early. It's 2-1 on Charavallo, who flew out his last time, but preceded that with 3 base hits, one of which was a double. Jaros on deck, but he'll only come to bat if Charavallo can reach. It's now 2-2. Some aggressive hacks from Frontera and Charavallo in hitters' counts. Trying to get something going with 2 away. Here comes a 2-2 pitch, which misses, and the count is full. Full count pitch on the way. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 huge outs from Garisi on the mound. 3 up and 3 down. Nothing doing for the Kings. They trail by 3 as we move ahead to inning number 9. We'll see how this one plays out. Final inning upcoming with the Kings down by 3. Top of the 9th inning here at Moody Park, beginning with an 11-8 Phenoms lead. Corey Miller here with you with Corey Williams back on the mound facing the top of the order, Pelimi, who walked and scored a run as part of that 7-run 8th inning for the Phenoms. That pitch is sent foul down the left field line. Williams in his 2nd inning of work replaced Green Zhang, who didn't record an out in the 8th. Arm is loosening for the Kings in the bullpen. Ideally, Williams can get you 3 outs after inheriting a clean inning here right now as the fireworks continue to go off behind the left field fence. It's 2-1 the count on Pelimi. Make it 2-2. This would be a big loss for the Kings, obviously, given the fact that they led 8-4 heading into the 8th and were in firm control of the game. But also, when you look at the standings, as it's now 3-2, they enter just 1 point behind the Generals. The Generals won 2-0 tonight, so now they improved to 13-7-1 with 48 points in the Wolf division. 3-2 pitch. Up high and a walk to Pelimi. If the Kings cannot come back, they would still get a single point for a loss. But that would move them to 12-9-0 and would give them 45 points. A full 3 behind the Generals, who, with a 3-point lead, sit a full win above the Kings, a much more comfortable position than if the Kings were to have won this game or come back and win, and would sit just 1 point behind the Generals. Pelimi dives back safely. And right now the Kings are glad that the predicted thunderstorms from the forecast have not come to pass, at least thus far. Initially, we were thinking before the game started how many innings would we be able to play today. But now the Kings still wanting to bat one more time in the bottom half of the 9th, hopefully only trailing by 3. Williams, another pickoff attempt. And there have been thunderstorms kind of in the area throughout the evening, but no rain so far, no lightning, no thunder. 0-1, Pelimi stays put, and it's now 0-2 on Joseph Manella, who walked and scored a run in the eighth.
Corey yells having fireworks at his place tomorrow. Towards the river.
0-2 pitch, one on, no one out. Williams delivers. Way inside and past Wood to the backstop. Pelimi jogs down to second. Second time Williams has fired a wild pitch. Remember, Wood came in as a defensive replacement for Lombardi in the bottom of, or top of the eighth, that is, as it looked like Lombardi was dizzy, nauseous, something, but just not feeling 100%, so he exited. As it's now 1-2 on Manella. Pelimi dancing at second. Williams deal. Swing and a miss. Blew a fastball by Manella. Big out number 1 for Corey Williams here in the ninth. And now it's the shortstop,
Ryan Fascinelli.
Fascinelli, who walked in the eighth inning. The first pitch here that he sees from Williams is a called strike one. You know, this 11-game win streak for the Kings has really built up a lot of team chemistry. Something that they had very little of when they were 1-8 earlier on in the season. But winning 11 straight has really brought the team closer together. You can see it on and off the field. The man warming up in the bullpen is Jackson Kramer. So we said the new addition to this Kings team. So we said the other day, Ryan Jarrow said how the past 2 weeks have been a lot more fun to them, how everyone on the team can attest to that. As it's 0-2. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. Fascinelli down swinging 2 away now for Vigliotti.
Number 22.
And Sikowski plainly said that the Kings had built that team chemistry throughout these past 11 games. But at the same time, you wonder how a possible crippling loss, like maybe one tonight, would affect the Kings' team chemistry. Runner takes off for third. The throw down. In time to get him. Great job by Wood to nail Pelimi trying to steal third, who's in disbelief of the call. I guess maybe contesting the fact that he got any under any tag, but nonetheless, the call will stand. The Kings down to their final 3 outs, trying to extend this win streak. They have some work to do. Trail by 3, down to their final 3 outs. We head to the bottom half of the ninth, 11-8 Phenoms. We've seen some fireworks here over the fence at Moody Park, continuing to explode. The Kings need some late inning fireworks here in the bottom of the ninth. They trail by 3. Jaros digs into the box. Polimi, Garisi that is, on the mound. And it's 0-1 to Jaros. Jaros is a good guy to have up, considering that he's the Kings' hottest hitter, and if you look at average best hitter right now, it's 0-1 to him. And if he can get on base, which he has twice tonight with 2 singles, he can use his speed to help the Kings. Not sure he'd be stealing bases, but a good base runner and a fast base runner. But in an ideal world, he would be coming up with runners on base. But the 2 guys in front of him couldn't get anything going in the 8th, so now he's up to begin the 9th. 1-1. 1-2. Again, the Kings' 11-game win streak is in jeopardy and would just be a devastating way to lose. Jaros lifts one into foul play down the right field line. DeMonte hustling after it, but it lands foul. A game in which the Kings really controlled, give or take 90% of. A 4-run first. The Phenoms struck back with 4 in the second, which knocked Costello out of the game after the inning, but the Kings posted zeros and scored 4 runs. Posted zeros up until that 7-run 8th inning. 1-2 to Jaros. Outside 2-2. And the relief pitching in place of Costello, which came in earlier than the Kings anticipated, was really great. Terwilliger and then Parsons. But then everything went wrong in that 8th inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Boy, did the Phenoms take care of a big bat there, striking out Jaros, a huge out number 1, as he's retired. Kings down to their final 2 outs. Taneski's had a great game. He's 3 for 4, 3 singles. A guy who is really great at getting on base. He showcased that this summer. He's walked 19 times, 3 hits tonight. In a big spot here, his team trailing by 3. First pitch in on the hands and a foul ball behind home plate. The 0-1 to Taneski. 1-1 as that one's high. The question we kind of asked earlier in the game is that as the schedule over the next 2 weeks gets more difficult for the Kings, how does this win streak fare? Does it come to an end? How much longer does it last? Do we see a more realistic 2 weeks? And it looked like at least it would continue for another game, surely through 7 innings, as the Kings led 8-4 into the 8th. Against this Phenom squad, it was 8-10-1 entering play. Taneski sends it foul. It's now 2-2. I mean, you look at the ACBL standings, things don't necessarily match up. Teams have played a different amount of games. The points are kind of a reflection of that, but you're getting a better sense of who the better teams in the league are, at least on a consistent basis. And the Kings, after winning 11 straight, making their case for one of those better teams. 2-2 to Taneski, a grounder too short. Fasanelli gloves, throws to first. In time, Taneski's retired. Kings are down to their final out.
Number 14, shortstop.
But after a loss here tonight, where do the Kings go moving forward? How do they rebound is the big question. They've been playing so well, and it's such a shame that that win streak will have to come to an end the way it did. In a game they controlled, a 7-run 8th inning, a lot of walks and wild pitches. Just unfortunate. They would fall to 12-9 and then 45 points. They'd still sit in second in the Wolf division, but frustrated with anything less than a win tonight. One atrocious inning overshadows a game of solid play from this Kings squad. Sestawicki waits on a 2-0. Comes up empty, 2-1. Now 2-2. The Kings are down to their final strike. Carisi's been terrific in relief. 2-2 to Sestawicki with 2 away, and now it's 3-2. We could possibly get a full 9 innings in tonight without any rain. Carisi trying to close the door on a comeback win. 3-2 to Sestawicki. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That'll do it. The ball game is over, and the Phenoms snap the Kings' 11-game win streak and win this one 11-8.
Your final score this evening: the Phenoms 11, the Kings 8.
The Kings led 8-4 after 7 innings, and then a 7-run 8th inning by the Phenoms gave them an 11-8 lead, which they at no point would relinquish. A tough way to see the Kings' win streak snap. They moved to 12-9. The Phenoms improved to 9-10-1 after the win here tonight. A devastating loss for the Kings, who played great baseball every inning except for one pretty much. But nonetheless, take the loss. That'll just about wrap things up for us here tonight. Again, it's 11-8. Phenoms win. We'll be back in action on Friday, but until then, we wish you a happy, healthy, and safe 4th of July tomorrow. For everyone here at Moody Park, as part of our media team, Ben Chadwick, Jack Hemler, this is Corey Miller saying goodnight and happy 4th from Moody Park.